Let's get into it. Coach Colin here, guys. What's going on? I just got to show you a picture real quick, just so you know what we're talking about. Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz. We got a short Joe Rogan clip of him talking about that. And then we're just going to jump into why Trump's doing it, what this whole thing looks like, and the real reason why there's such pushback about Trump reopening Alcatraz. And if you can guess, it's about money. But I'll show you at the end. Nick Shirley unknowingly blows the lid off of this story. If you don't know about Nick Shirley, you will know about him by the end of this video. But let's jump into the Joe Rogan clip first, and then I'll tell you all about this next part. That's how fast I listen to it. Listen to this.
Plastic. Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's like we were going over this. What was it? Every month it was a credit card or a week?
That's how fast. That's how fast I listen to it. Sorry about that. Let's just jump in. I'll put it down to normal person speed. Here you go.
Chicks get fillers to hide the wrinkles.
Exactly.
Plumps your balls up a little bit.
I'm cool with
Microwave dinner plastic.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
It's like we were going over this. What was it? Every month it was a credit card or a week?
I've seen this.
Yeah.
It's a month, I think.
I think
a
it's a
credit
month.
card amount of plastic is consumed.
I don't remember if it's a week or a month, but it's
think
something
I saw
crazy.
something
We're
like
like,
that
where's it
too.
all going? Because I've been eating for a long time. Where are these credit cards?
Yeah,
What
you must.
percentage I am?
Do you not just shut out the plastic credit
I
card?
would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Remember how this was studied, though? I had to dig into it, and they had studied like an animal or something and found it in the animals, and they were like, that means
Right, but
you
animals
guys
are
have it."
dumb as shit, right? They eat bottle caps. My dog eats
It was
everything.
every week, is what it says.
Oh, Jesus.
My dog eats
Yeah.
everything on the ground.
I don't trust animal studies. The only way
Right.
you can really know is if you try it on people.
Right. That's why we got to put them prisoners back in Alcatraz.
Well, do what you got to do. I mean, yeah, I'm
You hear
with
that?
you.
Trump is opening up Alcatraz
really?
again. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's amazing. I mean, a grand opening of.
Look, the world's crazy.
Man.
I like fun, and Trump saying he's going to reopen up Alcatraz is fun to me because I know that it's going to be like, wow,
Yes.
what's he doing? Wow.
It's,
Trump says he reopened, enlarged, and rebuilt Alcatraz. It's going to be the best Alcatraz.
it's not just going to be
Alcatraz, we use a federal penitentiary since 1963, had a capacity of roughly 300 people. I went there as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was in what grade was I? I was in San Francisco from age 7 to 11. So I think I was 8 years old. I went over there, have a little school trip. We went on a ferry. You go to Alcatraz, and you think about like how the fuck someone could swim. Because there's a dude, Nick Diaz, a UFC fighter.
Yeah, yeah.
He's done it 5 times.
Swim from Alcatraz.
Yeah, 5 times. 5
I
times.
wouldn't do that. You could
In shark-infested water, by the way.
You couldn't pay me to do that.
all that.
No. I mean, I can swim like a mother.
But do you know the kind of balls you have to know that, you don't have a life vest? You're just swimming. You have to be able to swim all the way to shore with sharks underneath you everywhere. And if they bite you, you're dead. And they bite people.
I'd rather just be in prison, really.
Yeah, but he's doing it for funsies.
Oh, you're
he's
talking
doing
about
it.
Diaz.
Nick Diaz does it in between MMA fights. He's doing this.
Well, the Diaz brothers, that's a set of balls unlike, like no other. Like those guys are legends,
For
in every
sure.
sense of the word. So that doesn't surprise me at all, actually, that they swim in from Alcatraz. Makes sense.
People missed Nick's prime because Nick's prime, a lot of it happened in Strikeforce. Like people missed that. That's when he was just so dominant.
So he came into the UFC kind of later into his career.
Well,
or
he started
late-ish.
the UFC very early. So he knocks out Robbie Lawler early in his career, has some great fights early in his career. So he was in the UFC early on, but then left the UFC and went over to Strikeforce where I think he reached his prime.
Okay.
Like when he beat Frank Shamrock and Cyborg, like he was in his prime over there, like a world championship caliber prime. But that guy would swim across from Alcatraz in between he's training for fights. And in between training for fights, he's running triathlons and hitting the bong while he's doing it. Like, it's hilarious. He's high as running triathlons.
You ever just see someone and you're like, you're so different than me?
So different.
Like, our lives.
Yes, this guy, so different than me. This guy's just so different. Looks like a lot of people I grew up with, though. That's for sure. I got to look into this. I didn't realize he was talking about Nick Diaz doing this Alcatraz thing. Do you guys know about this? Some of you probably don't even know who Nick Diaz is. Nick Diaz, Alcatraz. Let me just look this up really quick in case we can actually see a dude. Nick Diaz, Alcatraz. It just pops up. It's the first thing. What? No joke, 5 times. More Joe Rogan. No, I want to see him do it. Do we get to see him do it? Because this doesn't make any sense at all.
Different occasions. For a mile,
No,
I'm not going to be able to
I want to see him
by
do it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not.
you don't think right. You don't have. You don't make.
Hey, I know it sounds very, very millennial of me, maybe even Gen Z, but no video. It didn't happen, bro. Let me see. What's going on here?
This might be the craziest thing you can do in San Francisco. Just 2 miles off the coast is the notorious prison of Alcatraz. Very few people have ever escaped from it. And if you want to, a company will drop you off in the 55-degree Fahrenheit water, so you can try to escape the prison yourself. If you're crazy enough to make it, you come out in pretty rough shape.
Nah. There's a company bringing people out there. It's not shark infested the way they're saying. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here. Not one video of this guy doing it. Here, I'll let him say it.
Triathlon, so it's not really. I mean, it's not something that I wanted to do like every season, but
Right.
I've done about 5. You know,
How hard is it to swim?
in the last 15 years I've been racing. Like I did that one 5 times.
Right.
So the swim is 1.5 miles, and it's really a lot nicer than you think. One time it was really nice, and then a couple times it was a little bit harsh, but it was never as bad as swimming over in Santa Cruz, where
It's not choppy.
people are always in the water at Santa Cruz and they don't complain about it. But
So-
like for me, I'm like swimming around that pier in Santa Cruz is a lot harder of a swim than Alcatraz triathlon. So it's not really.
You know why I believe him? I know, I'm flip-flopping here. You know why I believe him? Because of how nonchalant he is about it. For a second, I was like, this is Dana White. This is back when the UFC wasn't taking off. I'm like, it's a little thing that they're putting together here. But how nonchalant this guy is about it, and he's comparing it to other things. Okay, fine. He did it. I just wanted to see a video of it, for God's sakes. All right, let's move on, guys. Donald Trump. Rebuild and open Alcatraz far too long. America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society. I don't say that lightly. I mean, these people are terrible. Who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering to society. I mean, these people are, if you could believe it, worse than Joe Biden, worse than Kamala Harris, however she pronounces her name, okay? These people are terrible. They're not all black. I know that's what you're thinking. You're thinking they're all black. They're not all black. Many blacks, but not all black. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. A lot of illegals, okay? I'm just putting that out there. I love black people, okay? Some of them are going to go to Alcatraz. But some of them are going to go to Alcatraz. But some of them are going to go to Alcatraz. When we were a more serious nation in the past, in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am, let me just jack that up a little bit so you guys can see it. That's why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons together with the Department of Justice, FBI, Homeland Security to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house the most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges. That's amazing. And judges, okay, I mean, it's in the fine print a little bit, but I'm going to put a lot of judges in this place. You don't have to worry. These are bad judges. These are left-wing lunatic judges, okay? You don't have to worry about these people. I'm going to lock them up, okay? Trust me, it's okay. Judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally, and reopening Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. This is actually a good idea. I got to be honest. And I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about him reopening Alcatraz? I actually think it's a really good idea to do. just for what he said. Huge deterrent. Now, here's the real reason why he's doing this. Well, you didn't think I'd get up, did you? You were like, I thought you were standing up from now. I am. But not when I'm searching things, okay? But I think this is actually a good idea because I think this is in direct response to Trump wanting to send Americans to El Salvador. You can't do that. You know, I asked a lot of you out there. There was a lot of you when I was streaming that were saying it would be a great deterrent. That's the camp that I'm in, quite honestly. I think there needs to be a big deterrent. I think a lot of people who are Bloods, Crips, name the gang, Chicago, they need to know that they're not going to a place where they're going to be in a jail with all of their homeboys who also got locked up. Okay? Like, there's a lot of that for people. It's just like, oh, I know 10 guys who got locked up. I'm just going to chill with them. It's like you go to El Salvador, you don't know nobody. It's a big deterrent. Same way, locking down the borders, big deterrent for anybody to take this long trip to America because they know they're going to get turned away. You need these deterrents. They help a lot. And they're more compassionate than you think. Because if one gang member gets deterred from going to jail, that's good. Now, whether or not he's going to change his life, obviously not. But at least he won't do the thing that he was doing before. So, just wanted to put that out there. That's what I think. We're just going to get Trump talking about this. Going to get a couple of Trump talking about this, couple of clips of Trump. And then Nick Shirley blowing the lid off of the real reason why they do not want to rebuild Alcatraz. Let's go.
You get the idea for reopening Alcatraz.
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
You get the idea for...
You know what's going to be funny about this when it comes to Trump and rebuilding Alcatraz? You're going to see people come out of the woodwork, and they're going to be like, what does Donald Trump know about building buildings? I mean, come on. I mean, he doesn't really... I mean, you're going to hear all the Poindexters, all the left-wing people. Actually, he doesn't know as much about rebuilding things as you might think. Actually, it's just his name on the building. He doesn't really know anything about it. Yeah, we're going to hear a lot of that, you know? So one thing that he's an expert in, they're going to be like, he's not actually an expert in this, actually. I was actually listening to Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough actually knows a lot more about building buildings than Donald Trump does, I have to say. You're going to hear a whole lot of that, a whole lot of nerds.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country, and so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that, and we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now, it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay, are you again?
Man, I can't wait, because I think they're going to do it. I think it makes sense to do, and it's definitely possible. I know you're going to hear a lot of people say that it's too decrepit, it's falling apart, but it's actually not true. And when we look into Nick Shirley, that's Nick Shirley right there. How am I not following Nick Shirley? What? That doesn't make any sense. I must have got unfollowed. Wow. People always say to me, I was following the channel, and now I'm not following, and I had to subscribe again. And I've never seen it happen before until just now, because I know I subscribe to this guy. I actually love what this guy does. Nick Shirley, check him out if you don't know him. Here it is. He actually, young guy, got into the White House. Now he's asking questions alongside Caitlin Collins and stuff. Amazing stuff. Listen to this.
Are you guys renovating Alcatraz right now?
Yes.
For Donald Trump?
Dude, I'm not doing any interviews.
You guys, so right now there are construction crews renovating Alcatraz. We don't know if that's because of Donald Trump or if that's just some renovations they are doing here. But they are revamping some parts of Alcatraz. How much do you think it would cost for them to renovate Alcatraz?
Billions.
Billions of dollars.
None of the pipes are working. They're all rusted out, corroded. The concrete is 110 years old and hasn't had any maintenance on it. There are places where you could stick your hand through the wall. They have to do an entire renovation of everything.
So you don't think it's possible for them?
Keep in mind, they're inside of Alcatraz as he's saying this. Just, they're inside of it. Look around. That looks like a pretty substantial building, doesn't it? Okay.
No, so you don't think it's possible?
Everything's
for them to
possible if you have
Alcatraz?
if you have an infinite amount of money. You can do anything you want. But as it stands today, this is not a usable prison. It's a historic site.
And how long do you think it would take them to renovate Alcatraz?
That's like saying there's no answer. It would take forever.
It would take forever. That's what he's saying right now.
Are you guys?
Keep in mind, that's what the guy who is literally getting paid to take people on tours of Alcatraz is saying about repurposing it for its original purpose and not having it be a place where people walk through thousands of people, mind you, every single day. So let's get into the next thing. This is where he actually unlocks it here. What's going on with this whole thing? When we get into the numbers are vast as always. Let's start from here.
Renovating Alcatraz right now?
Yes.
For Donald Trump? I am currently at the most infamous prison in American history. We're at the Alcatraz prison here, and this prison has been closed since 1963 until now, just maybe. It was once used to house the most notorious and violent criminals in all of America. However, it's been closed for decades now, but now talks are starting about reopening Alcatraz. President Donald Trump just announced he wants to reopen Alcatraz, ordering the Federal Bureau of Prisons and also the FBI Homeland Security to reopen Alcatraz. He's been floating the idea around on social media, and this is what he said. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For far too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. I am directing the Bureau of Prisons to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz. So today, we are going to be going inside of Alcatraz, talking to the people, showing you guys what Alcatraz is currently like and what it would take to reopen and renovate the prison of Alcatraz. Could this be the future Secot of America? Time will only tell. Today, we are going inside of Alcatraz. Now we are about to enter into the main prison. This is where the main prison cells were at, and this is where all of the most dangerous people back in the 1960s would be. We had people like Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly inside of here, the worst of the worst. And just to show you guys how bad the prisons were here inside of...
Okay, how many of you thought Machine Gun Kelly was just a weirdo rapper who was married to Megan Fox and they would do blood rituals together because they're both clearly demonic in some kind of way? Just me? Am I the only one? I didn't know Machine Gun Kelly was a real person. And how much does it suck to be this infamous gangster and have Machine Gun Kelly wearing a pink lace tank top using your name now? Oh my gosh.
Of Alcatraz, for every 3 prisoners, there was 1 guard. Typically, inside of a prison here in the United States, for every 250 prisoners, there is 1 guard. That just shows how bad the people were here inside of Alcatraz. this was meant for the worst of the worst, and Donald Trump is saying this is where we want to send the worst of the worst. A famous quote here in Alcatraz is, break the rules and you go to prison. Break the prison rules and you go to Alcatraz. Now we're about to enter inside of the prison cells. When you first walk into the prison, the first thing you're met with is the room where they take their showers and receive all of their clothes. And when these prisoners came in here, they'd have no privacy, obviously, inside of these showers. And right now, this room doesn't look like it needs too much renovation. Everything looks like it's still intact. This could be a place where you...
To act like this can't be done is crazy. Like, I'm telling you, that guy who he was talking to in the first clip I showed you, completely lying. Completely lying. Look at this place. Look at it. He said there's places where you can put your hand through the wall. So you can put your hand through the wall. It's not good enough for prisoners, but you can take regular people, the general public, and you can walk them around in the building? What? What? Think about that. And I know it's a big place, and maybe some parts are more decrepit than others, but we're not seeing any of that.
You wouldn't have to spend too much money as far as the renovation goes here inside of Alcatraz. Now we're heading up to the main prison cells here inside the prison. This is where they would then come once they would come through the process after getting vetted. In these prison cells, this is prison cell number 100, and these are the places where they would sleep. They had their cot, bathroom, toilet, sink, and then also 2 shelves here inside of their cells. And right now, human activists are complaining about potentially sending prisoners here into Alcatraz because these cells are only 7 feet tall, and to enter, it's only 6 feet tall. Is that such a big concern as far as human rights go for a prisoner to come inside of a prison cell? And what do you think about these prison cells? Right now, human activists are saying these are too small prison cells to be putting people into. The walls aren't tall enough. It's 6 feet tall for these people to go underneath. They have to duck to go into the side of the prison cell. Right now, it's a lot of controversy. What do you think about them potentially sending prisoners here inside of prison cells just like these here in Alcatraz?
I think if they're a prisoner, they don't need anything fancy. And I've also seen people in America living in worse conditions than this. At least in here, they have a toilet. I've seen a man who lived in Oakland, right outside of Oakland. He doesn't even have a toilet in his house. He lives in a shanty town. He has to go to the bathroom outside. At least prisoners have a toilet and running water.
Solid point, but I could swear that this is this guy's mom. I think this is his mom. I'm telling you, that's how young this guy is. Man, just doing such incredible things, man. I'm telling you, I love to see young guys doing stuff like that. Let's see where the part is where he actually talks about the money. Okay, so let's just go back a little bit here.
Toilet in his house.
3, they should probably not reopen.
Yeah.
Inside of the main holding for the prisoners here inside of Alcatraz is 3 stories high, full of cells top to bottom, right to left. There are prison cells everywhere here. The most amount of prisoners ever held here at a single time was 270, although the prison of Alcatraz has a capacity upwards of 325. Right now we're seeing prison cell 127, and on the 3rd story we're seeing prison cell 327. That just shows how many people and how much people this place could actually hold back in its day when it was actually an operating prison. Right now we have thousands upon thousands of tourists coming through here every single day. If tourists can walk through here every single day, shouldn't prisoners be able to walk through here theoretically if they were to renovate the prison cells as far as getting running water and making sure the bathrooms worked? And now we're going to enter into one of the cells. You can see right here, 5 feet wide, 7 feet tall, and then 9 feet long. Right here you have a toilet, you have a sink. Let's see if any running water is working right now. Currently no running water here on the island of Alcatraz, and right now around 4,000 tourists come through here every single day. That's $200,000 a day, and you times that by 365, that is upwards of $73 million that this prison is generating every single year in revenue just from tourists coming in to visit this place. And
that's why President Trump is just a silly man. What are you talking about? How about that? And who's getting that money? Where is this place? How much money does Gavin Newsom? How much money does California make? How much? I don't even know if California is directly getting it, but I don't know. It's just crazy. If California is getting the money, how much money does this place get to just have no results at all every year? They're like surplus. Then all of a sudden they're like, okay, President Trump, you have to give us $50 billion. What? Surplus, I don't know. We spent it on homelessness. I don't know. Gavin Newsom, man. Gavin Newsom. But that's the real reason. That's how much money it's making. That's how much money it's bringing in. So of course you're going to hear the tour guide. And again, you know, the guy has a job. You know, I'm not saying, hey, get this guy out of his job, but I mean, clearly he's incentivized to say this. Clearly everyone who's involved with that amount of money being generated has an incentive to say that this cannot be remade into a prison once again. Obviously. I think it should be, though. I want to know what you guys think, though. What do you guys think about Alcatraz becoming the place? Because it seems like President Trump got a lot of pushback, and I know a lot of you are Trump supporters, so a lot of pushback from Trump supporters, a lot of pushbacks from Americans in general saying, hey, we don't want American citizens sent to El Salvador, right? I know a lot of you did. I know I did. He can't do that. If he can't do that, doesn't it make sense to have a place like this rebuilt and put back into operation? Now, play this last clip. This is the Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, talking about this topic. Let's go.
Alcatraz was built at a time.
Of course I got it on double speed. Of course I do. Guys, that's what I do, okay?
When this country was strong and it knew how to take care of villains and monsters. There are people in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but maim and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They are always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they are not going to live among us and will never live among us. Alcatraz was built at a time when this country was strong. And
again, this is one of those things where what he's saying, you know, it does kind of show something. It shows something to people. Trump was saying it as well. It's a symbol of law and order. Like, hey, there's going to be a place where you're going to go. You're going to be away from society. You're going to be in one of the worst places that was ever made on American soil. You know, it's an island, but you know what I mean. You're going to go to that place if you keep on breaking the law. You're not going to just be let out again and again and again to do things over and over and over again. If you're illegal, you're going to go there as well. You're going to be in there with some really bad people. It's a deterrent all around. And I think when it comes to, I don't know about you. I know a lot of you aren't on X, but if you're on X, you see a lot of people who are a lot of blacks. You see a lot of people. It's not all blacks. I'm just saying. But you see a lot of people who just don't care. They'll just do whatever they want. Whether it's just randomly robbing stores, randomly assaulting people. I'm talking about like just a guy just assaulting an innocent person out of nowhere for no particular reason. You see that too much. You see it so much that there needs to be some kind of, again, bring it up, this word, deterrent that makes them say, okay, if I act like this, I'm going to a terrible place. Okay? Because not everybody believes in the cross like I do. A lot of people don't believe that they're going to hell. You know, that's a topic for a different episode. You know, a lot of people are possessed, and you know they don't know it, and a lot of us don't know it either. We don't realize it, but that's what's going on. I'm just saying. You should have put your tinfoil Speedo on, okay? I'm just saying, you need those deterrents. So I think it's a good idea. I'm still backing the El Salvador idea, quite honestly. I mean, not for Americans to be there forever. But you do something, you're a repeat person, you go over there, it's a crazy deterrent, you get on good behavior, you get back to America, and you go, oh, this is the greatest nation in the world, and I don't want to leave again. So I'm going to just be on the straight and narrow. I think it would help a lot of people. Wouldn't help everybody, but it would help a lot. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about Alcatraz reopening. I'm out.